I got my Autel Mini Maxis Mini to communicate with this rig, and it has a code for the bank one sensor one O2 sensor heater heater circuit not working. I watched it after it warmed up, and the O2 sensor is working, so it's a heater circuit problem. And here is the O2 sensors down there, and the wiring comes up, and this is the connector for it right here. Here's the connector for it. Figured out how to get this stupid thing apart. It's the only connector I've ever seen where you lift up. There's a little tab right here, and you lift up on it, and it releases the vehicle side to come out of the oxygen sensor side. I'm gonna try not to have my fat fingers in the way here, but you just lift up on that little tab and wiggle that connector. It comes apart. So that's how it works. That little tab right there, and there's a little teat right here, little wedge-shaped teat. So when it slides together, it just snaps into place. So looking at the wiring diagram, the voltage is coming in on the black with the white stripe, and the heater control circuit that goes, because the ECM's controlling the ground on this heater circuit, because we had the P0135, I believe. Yeah, P0135. So it does not look like a pin fitment issue. They all look the same. They're all nice and tight. So I got a test light. And we'll connect that to ground. Now I'm not sure if this is ignition controlled or if there's power here all the time. So it's ignition controlled. So I'll go turn the ignition on. So that should have power, and it does. We have power there. So now we're looking for a ground. And I'm wondering if I can use this. And I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. Oh. Butterfingers. Butterfingers. So I'm going to try and hold the test light in there. So the light's not coming on. But the engine may need to be running. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. If that's going to work at all. And then are you going to be able to see here if the engine starts? That's the other thing. We'll see. It'd be hilarious if you end up in the fan. Still no light. You still have power there with the engine running. Come on. Come on. What are you looking at here? Can you even see what I'm doing? There's still power there. I don't know what the deal is with that engine. You guys just can't stay still, can you? Now it might be too long. It might have a strategy to... It may have a strategy to turn that off now. So So our control circuit to the ECM is kind of messed up. It's what it appears to be. Unless it's... Yeah, it would have to be. Unless the wiring diagram's wrong. But on the oxygen sensor, these two are the same color, and there's a gray and a black wire. So I'm assuming this is our actual... Come on, quit falling. I'm assuming this is our actual O2 sensor signal and you know, supply voltage, and this is our heater circuit. Generally on the sensors, the two same color wires are the heater circuit. And there's no corrosion in there that I can see. And then we check, there's no ground. So let's plug this in. Okay, that's plugged in. Let me get set up. Maybe we could try a different kind of test here. So I decided to bring the voltmeter out, and let's check to see what we got going on here. Can you see the voltmeter? Yes, you can. So we should have whatever the battery voltage is here. So we have a constant ground and the ignition is on. So why doesn't it light the test light? Well, let's watch and see what happens to our voltage. Now how am I gonna, okay, I got an idea on how to do this. So we'll take I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to like three-hand this. Okay, maybe I can hold that and that. Come on. And then when we put the test light on it, no ground. See, I don't know how much that's supposed to fluctuate, but is it in the PCM that we're having a problem? Are we putting, does this light make too many amps for the heater circuit? And I'm assuming that heater, I don't know how many amps that heater circuit's supposed to be. Well, you can see the voltage on the voltmeter. I pull it away, we got 12 battery voltage. So we don't have a good enough. So we know that it's on the ground side, because by grounding the test light on the engine, we can make the light come on. So we're not losing voltage. We're not losing the positive supply to the heater. We're losing the control side to the ECM. See, is that millivolts? So that's volts. Now that goes to millivolts. I don't know if you can see that or not. Millivolts. So we're losing to the PCM. So ECM, ECU, I think they call it an ECU this year. In these earlier models, I don't think they were ECMs. I think they were ECUs, units instead of modules. Whatever, same frickin' difference. So, all right, I think we're gonna have to do a different test. I would assume that should be able to light that test light. That should be at least a quarter of an amp. That test light's probably not even a quarter of an amp draw. So maybe it's a pin fitment issue at the... No, because we have a ground when we have the voltmeter, when there's no load. Maybe there's corrosion? It's going to be funny if Deoxit fixes this too. All right, I'll be back. We'll go look and see where I'll show you where the ECM is and the connector and what pin we're looking at. It's a pink wire, and I'll get a wiring diagram. I'll print it out so we can look at it. Not a wiring diagram, maybe a connector pin out. So it tells us what pin it is and what color the wire is and what the function is. I think that'll be a lot more useful for us. Okay, so there's our connector 23. 23 is pink. O2 sensor 1 heater control. '23 pink sensor control. I know it's going to be hard for you to see, but I'm trying to do this where you can see it. The pink wire right there, that one, that's 23. So maybe unplug this and take a look and see what the connector looks like. I'm not sure how they come out of here. I don't want to bust anything. I mean, these old wires, I don't want to screw something up worse than it already is. Geez, how does that ECM come out of there too? I mean, eventually, someday, this thing's going to have the capacitors redone in it. Maybe that day is coming sooner than we thought, or I wanted to. I'll see if I can get that apart real quick, and then we'll be back. Alright, so what I've done is I stuck some T-pins. I don't want to move this around, I don't want to short this out, but I've stuck some T-pins into this connector on the heater circuit. And this one is our control for from the ECU, and this other one is our supply voltage. So I've got the ground wire. I've got the ground wire for the test light connected there. So our test light comes on there, and it'll come on here too. Okay, so that shows us that our heater circuit is either shorted or which I don't think it is because I checked the resistance, it's about 3 ohms. So now our signal is here. Now if we go inside the vehicle and back probe the connector at the ECM and the light comes on, that shows us that the wiring integrity from this connector to the ECM is good, and that the problem is either at the connector at the ECM or inside the ECU. I'll get set up under there. Hopefully you can see what's going on. Okay, I've got the test light on a good ground in here, I think. I'll check at one of the fuses here. Test light does come on. So let's check that connector there. There. So there's our integrity, our wiring integrity all the way to the PCM or to the ECU. I'll have to see if I can get that connector apart and see what's going on in there. Got the connectors apart, and I'm not seeing anything really. I don't see a bunch of greeny crusties in there. Look up inside there, I didn't see anything either on the pins in the ECU, whatever you want to call the damn thing. Try to get you up in there to see them. Yeah, there's not really seeing anything. Let's see if I can get a close up there. Yeah, it's hard to see. So, I do have some specialty tools for for corrosion on connectors. These are like tweezers, but they're coated with like sandpaper, like really fine sandpaper. So you get up in there and you just pull down on them a little bit. And then my next step is to spray the connector with deoxit. It's going to see if it can throw its cape out and fix this problem too. I'll bring you back when we're done. Well, it didn't seem to fix it. I cleared the codes, let it run for a while, and it's now pending. P0135 is now pending. So I believe it's the ECM. I had a friend come over and had him out here with the test light in between these two, holding the test light under there while I was underneath, pushing and pulling on that pink wire going to the ECM. So I think it's the ECM. Probably gonna have to pull the ECM and take it apart and figure out what's going on inside of it. Hopefully I can get some information about what's going inside that magic box. So maybe it's just a bad transistor, or maybe a bad trace on the board. Maybe a capacitor spilled its guts on the board and it's just eating it away. We'll have to take it apart and see. Thanks for watching. Well, got the cover off of the ECM and unbolted and hung down. I kind of did a quick visual inspection, and there are some bad capacitors. They're bulged. But I want to verify that our signal is getting to the board. I want to double check the pin fitment. It's very hard to do. I'm assuming it's not a pin fitment issue, but our pink wire is right here, and that's our first small. We got a big one, small, and it's on the inside. So I'm not sure how I'm not gonna be able to film it, but I'm gonna see if my test light comes on. So I'll be back. Okay, I got the ECM on the bench. So what I did is I plugged it back in, and the test light did come on when I touched that lower connector there. And then the trace, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but the trace goes around this pin and it ends up here at this little capacitor. And I was able to check that with the test light, and it comes on at that solder joint, and then it comes around over to this diode here, and I've got power on that diode, on both sides of that diode. So I'm not sure. I'm going to check that diode next, and then I'm going to unbolt the board and follow it through and see where the problem is. But you can see that this capacitor here has got a big old welt on it. He's pooped his guts, but it hasn't started leaking onto the board yet, I think. And this one is bulged on the side too. You can't really see it that well, but it is bulged on the side. I don't know how well this is going to turn out with this cheap GoPro knockoff, but we'll when I figure out what it is, I'll let you know.